Meeting of a long agenda. Roll call, please.
Steve Brenner will be absent. John Woodward.
Here.
Fred Mogul.
Here.
Jen Reiner.
Here.
And Bill Jenks will be absent.
Okay, any public comment this time?
If I may, Adrian Jadick, 48 Cardinal Road. I don't know about you, but I think these agendas are getting overboard. As much as I am for transparency and everything, I think we're missing here the point of it being an agenda and not a novel. So I see things that keep repeating themselves from month to month, from, I don't know, year to year. I think that, for the sake of brevity, I understand we need to be transparent, but we need to find a happy medium in which we don't have the agendas from 2 years ago that said nothing. And we get to this. So I'm sure that things that are repetitive could be placed in the documents and just repeat it. But an agenda is an agenda, for heaven's sake. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other public comment? Apparently not. Item 4, 1725 Dauphin. What's the status with that, Jim?
Last I heard was they got some emails back and forth from Mr. Lewis and his engineer, then a few more from Mr. Lewis saying that they were going to do something, but that's been probably 2 or 3 weeks at least now, and we haven't seen anything.
We had a hearing scheduled one time. It was supposed to be resolved. Now there's no hearing scheduled.
Correct.
That's not right. You gotta schedule a hearing, keep the heat on.
Chris has spoken with her. I guess they have a new counsel who's also Mr. Lewis. There's
Yes.
no relation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Fred that unless there's some consequence to failure to make progress, this is likely to continue to drag out. And, we have been very cooperative in the sense of trying to work with the property owner to come up with an acceptable solution, and they just don't move forward. They make half-hearted attempts and then it sits. So I think scheduling a hearing would be one lever we could use to try to force the issue. So with that in mind, I think it would be appropriate to consider a motion to set the hearing.
Can we do that if it's not on the agenda?
Not on the
Well,
agenda.
The topic is on the agenda, to the extent that,
It says if needed, the appeal hearing
the
will be
subject
scheduled.
matter is on the agenda. I don't think we have to have an action item,
Yes, I do think we
as
have
long
to
as
have
the
that.
subject is on the agenda for discussion.
And to be clear, it'd actually be 2 hearings, stormwater appeal at the November council meeting, and then property maintenance appeal at the November infrastructure meeting.
Do the Lewises have an engineer?
Well, we don't know.
Still haven't gotten any plans from them?
He hasn't. Last I spoke with Craig, he was still putting an engagement letter together for Mr. Lewis.
Are the neighbors still dealing with issues from the water runoff? It was one issue, that one
And that
event.
had happened once, so
Yeah.
they're not.
That was 100-year flood, that was.
Right, so it still needs to be addressed, but I just wanna make sure they're not dealing with this like on the regular.
No, and I've talked to the
Okay.
neighbor several times and they were fine with us attempting to work with the Lewises to resolve the issue.
Well, I think it's foreseeable that there will eventually be a storm event that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
repeat the consequences that
Right.
have occurred before.
I just wanna make sure it wasn't happening
No,
nonstop.
but it's.
No.
Yeah, it's not every thunder.
But it's gonna happen again, clearly, this wasn't done properly.
It's the 100-year storm that happens every couple of years.
Yeah,
So what's changed their tenor? I thought they were being most cooperative. And then
Well,
what
they
went
are.
south?
They say they're cooperative, but basically, in the last time we had a meeting, Chris, Michelle, and I, and them, it was the same exact conversation we've already had 4 times. They're going to get this done. They're going to engage. And they've selected Spotsy McCoy, so they're getting. I wish forget his name. Jeff, their structural engineer for the wall, and Craig Mamos to do the stormwater. But it's been months, and according to Craig, they haven't engaged them to do anything. So it's almost like I feel like it's like Groundhog's Day. Just keep having the meeting. They say they're going to get the stuff done, and nothing gets done. And
Good movie, but
And then 45 or 60 days later, we get a call, Chris gets a call through their council to have a meeting. We have a meeting again, same thing.
I'll make a motion to get a hearing scheduled, 2 hearings scheduled in that matter as soon as we can.
Second,
Objection on the Sunshine Act.
Your objection is noted.
No, you didn't even let me
Yeah,
finish.
then you're out of order, sir.
I'm not out. Well, I think you should ask the
All
council.
right, there's a motion, a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, none.
Yeah, good idea.
Number 5, zoning codes, any issues there?
The report itself is pretty self-explanatory. I did want to give an update on the Berkshire Mall because that was also shared with the Economic Development Committee this morning. The air quality testing was performed by Spot Stevens and McCoy back in September. While the air quality report found multiple variations of mold to be present, none were at a level that would create any type of public safety health concern. That said, there were 2 violation notices, one under the Uniform Construction Code, one under the Property Maintenance Code, that were issued at the beginning of September. To the best of our knowledge, none of the required compliance items in those notices has been addressed. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's my understanding.
So, staff has been working with Chris's office as to best pathway forward. We're going to start with filing citations for all of the different sections of the codes that are in violation, and notify mall management and ownership that if they continue to ignore the violation notices and do nothing, we will be asking council to file for, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, a petition for injunctive relief to allow us to placard the property as unsafe, notice to vacate, and then move forward with a court order, effectively requiring them to make the repairs or be found in contempt.
Yeah, just a clarification, the NOVs that have been issued, are they with respect to the entire property or portions of the property?
I mean, some of it's, if you count the exterior, I would say,
Sinkholes are everywhere.
yeah.
Okay, so these legal actions that we would be undertaking, if they don't take care of the problems, would apply to the whole property.
I would say Boss House might be the exception to that because they're responsible for their own maintenance and there were no code violations found there.
Okay, I just want to be clear about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
What about that separate, what used to be the Sears building? Is that part of the mall or is that a
Yes.
separate deed?
That's all part of it.
It's
Oh,
158
one
acre
sewer.
property.
One sewer. Okay.
and who is the current owner?
Namdar.
Same owner that bought it in 2019.
I saw Modus has a sign hanging
There-
up there.
Modus is who is under agreement.
Right.
They've been marketing it for months as 5 acre parcel, 3 acre parcel. There's never been an approved subdivision plan. So it is 158 acre parcel. They're either selling the whole thing or they're not.
Who's advertising it as that?
Modus,
Modus.
yes.
So Modus is trying to
Buy the entire property, but they're already trying to subdivide.
solve.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of saw that on the,
A lot of contingencies there.
They probably
All right.
fixed their sinkhole inspection.
Item 6, Fourth and Oley Pump Station.
Now that the studios on Spring, which was the new name of the Inn at Reading, isn't going forward, we don't need, we looked at it, we're waiting for some information back from the pump manufacturers on pricing. We should have that by December 1st to be able to get the new EDU price. But we don't have to build another wet well, which is a big cost.
So Jim, the agreement that we had with the owners there, they were gonna have like studio apartments or efficiency apartments, not gonna do that
At,
either?
at the old Inn at Reading,
Yeah,
right now the proposal is for the buildings 1,000, 2,000, which are D&E wing, and nothing else. And
nothing
they-
else.
And they entered into an agreement with the borough saying that they weren't gonna be part of the pump station expansion at Fourth and Oley or Wynwood now. When they did their project, they would do it later, which means more cost to them down the road. But we don't have to, we don't have to upgrade Wynwood for them. We have another thing to talk about Wynwood's condition, but Fourth and Oley has to be, enlarged for the other developments that are over there, the Boyle House Apartments, the condos on Van Reed, and a couple smaller projects. But instead of 600 new EDUs, it's 300, so it's basically half the size of the expansion we were planning. So we have to get the new dollar figure and insert that in the agreement, and then the agreements can be executed, and then we can have those property owners sign it.
Have the agreements been sent out so that at least they know what the verbiage is?
Yeah, with a blank line for the cost.
That's right.
So it looks like we're about a year away to get approval from the DEP.
Right, we'll probably have DEP approval at the end of 25.
Item 7, Western Berks.
Because Columbus Day, our October meeting is this afternoon,
Oh,
so we hope to finalize the rates for next year and get back to you, and next month hopefully finalize the budget after we get our chemical bids.
right. Is there anything we need to do about these pipe things, or we just have them on hold?
Chris, do you have any update from,
No, I've had some conversations with Ed Stock, but we haven't come to the point where I would have any recommendation for the committee. So I'll continue to work with the RAWA solicitor.
Starting to become a pipe dream. 8, sanitary sewer, Berkshire Boulevard Pump Station project,
That's ongoing.
ongoing. West Lawn Interceptor, ongoing.
There is,
There's
I thought I saw it on here before,
The
there's
under-
a change.
Wyomissing
Oh,
Creek.
here?
Okay.
Yeah, the next one, C,
Yeah.
Jim. Wyomissing Creek Interceptor.
That work is ongoing, but there is a change order, as part of Spring Township's contract to add 2 laterals, to the pipe. What is the dollar amount there?
It was
$6,000.
6,009, yes.
Those laterals, are those the one going across Evans Avenue to the very base right before Park
They are
Road?
both from the swimming pool. One is right at the corner of Evans and Old Mill. The other is from the pump house at the swimming pool on to Old Mill.
And where do they go? What way?
They go into the West Lawn Interceptor,
Okay.
which is a very, very small part of this project.
Okay. All right, so we need a,
This is in that section where we have Wexcon building the section for us because it's so deep and the pipes are right next to one another. And I guess they didn't have on their plans these 2 laterals, and it wasn't in the bid.
okay.
When Jim was out in the field with them talking about it, they didn't know about these 2
I
laterals.
just thought it was odd going that way when the pipe actually goes down Old Mill, you could connect to that, no?
The connections are gonna be made on Old Mill Road.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
We need a motion to approve the change order, I assume. I'll make that motion, change order number 5, to construct 2 laterals from the pool in the amount of $6,908.85. Recommend to the council to adopt that change order.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. D, televising and stuff. Jim,
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the final pay application for this year's work.
and if all of all the videoing stuff will be done for the year, and then is there gonna recycle again in 25?
Yes, this contract, we've been doing it for quite a few years now, is cleaning and televising one of the 6 or 7 drainage basins, and then doing repair work from the previous year's televising. I understand, I missed the budget meeting last week, but I understand the $400,000 that is typically in that line item budget is been cut to $200,000, so we will do $200,000 worth of work.
Motion's needed to approve, to council payment for payment application number 4 to sewer specialty services in the amount of $27,250. Motion,
So moved.
second?
Hold it. Discussion?
Well, after a second, yeah.
Okay.
Second?
Change it.
Uh,
So, is the 400 to 200,000 we cut, is that what you would consider deferred maintenance?
I always say this, due to council, I think giving kudos to council and councils in the past, we've always, put a lot of money into preventive maintenance for the water system and the sewer system. So is our sewer system in deplorable shape? No, it's in pretty good shape. But this $400,000 just keeps things moving along so it doesn't become deplorable.
That's it.
Can we ride a couple years on 200,000? Yeah, there'd be some things that don't get done. I don't think they would cause any catastrophe.
That's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Is this a contract that we did jointly with Spring? No, this is a CoStar's contract.
Okay, there's a motion, and I believe there was a second to approve the payment application number 4, $27,250. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None, ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, Winwood Pump Station deferred, but in E, it looks like we need some potential upgrades nevertheless.
Right. So there is a typo in here that you catch till just now. The bullet before E belongs under E, where it says Winwood Pump Station will not occur until phase 2 at the end of the yeah, Jim and I both had on our radar all 3 pump stations. We did Berkshire, we started Berkshire a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's almost done. 4th and Oley. Winwood is actually the pump station we have that runs the longest. It runs about 60% of the day, and it should only run 30% of the day by the DEP standard for pumps. We thought that was going to be taken care of when we upgraded it as part of the And Ready project, so we weren't worried about it. But now that that's put off for 5 years, Jim and I just wanted to, bring that up to everyone that, we have a concern there. While we recognize, that's coming down the road and will be funded by developers, we may have to budget some money to keep this up and running until that time.
Is it in writing that he is going to be a part of this in 5 years? Because from listening to his conversations, he wasn't going anywhere until he made money, which could be 10 years, 15 years, 20, I have no idea.
So the conditional
Yeah, he's-
use decision
he's
only
not-
gives him 5 years.
So what happens in 5 years when he doesn't come on board? Do we shut down Weems D&E and
Yep.
he
His
can't do
certificate
anything?
of occupancy is revoked because he is in violation of the conditions under which approval was granted.
And he's fully aware of this?
Yep.
Okay.
And we will remind him at our meeting again
So
tomorrow.
what we're meeting with him tomorrow and the zoning.
Yeah, because it's his conversation that 5 years is
Yeah, I know he's
not.
said in front of me that he may never build anything.
Right. That's what it sounds
To which
like.
every time he says that, I said, there's a condition in the conditional use hearing that you have to build the towers within 5 years, commence construction. So when he's ready, when our office issues the zoning permit, it's gonna have the condition that the zoning permit is only good for the 5-year period unless he builds that. So we don't have a problem in 5 years when,
Okay.
if he doesn't build it and doesn't move ahead, and then goes into court and say, well, I have a zoning permit to have this use.
Alright.
Somebody will build something eventually.
As
And
long as it's all,
I think that, in my opinion, the main purpose of that existing agreement is to document the need for that property to be responsible for the pump station upgrades, so that if it's not this developer and it's some other developer, we're on the record that there is a responsibility for that pump station upgrade that is attached to that property.
Jen, to actually answer your question, yes, he put it in email in writing that he was not signing the agreement at this time because he was deferring until the 2 towers were built.
So Jim, do you have to do something in between to address this problem?
The problem at the pump station.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna have to do something, You know, all three of our pump stations were last renovated in 2000. Pretty much they have a 20-year life, so 20 to 25. So we're at that on all three of them. And this one, as much as it runs, makes sense why it's in the worst, shape. So I think we're going to end up having to do some intermediate repairs, and then maybe something that infrastructure wants to, how do we really think he's going to do something in 5 years? Because by 5 years we would have to be ready to either redo that station at its current size or redo it for a new station.
So should we be putting something in next year's budget to address that?
Yeah, would 200,000 help?
Probably.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you went to that station, everything's just old. It's all past its life.
The pumps themselves were replaced once, but all the electronic controls are 20, 25 years old, and that's getting up there.
Yeah, we don't have an emergency generator over there. We have a backup diesel drive with a belt that runs it, which is
Started on fire
Kind
2
of.
years ago.
I've never put one of them in. I've probably designed 1,000 pump stations. I've never put one in any. I always put a generator because everything works. Not relying on a belt on a little diesel motor, but we've gotten rid of those in each of our stations as we were doing.
So you have any idea what the cost, you have no idea what the cost would be over what period of time?
I can for next month's meeting we can put together some budgets of what we think we need to do to just.
We kind
Oh,
of
we
need
can't wait
that
that long.
sooner than
Yeah.
now.
Can't
The
wait
next
that
budget
long.
meeting's next Tuesday.
29.
Well, I can have it, but I'll be there,
That's right.
so I can have a budget by Tuesday.
Yeah, just so they know
Well-
how to anticipate.
It would probably be helpful for Phyllis if she had that before to include in her
I
updated
would
assumptions.
imagine it would be similar but less than Fourth and Oley, if we want to jump to a conclusion.
Right, but I won't have more than only that.
What was that number?
There was
Million.
1.2 to redo everything and enlarge it by 600 EDUs.
Just Fourth and Oley.
Yes.
So
And
when we're
Berkshire
trying,
was 785.
yeah,
So you're
800,000.
probably to totally redo, you're probably looking 800,000.
Totally
750.
redo.
Great.
Winwood.
Do we have to do it? So I go back to the email I sent you to this morning about could we hold off maybe a year, apply for an H2OPA
Yeah.
grant, see if we get funding.
I think we'll be able to band-aid it for a year or two, but I think if we wait 2 years from now to do it, we're gonna have some catastrophic failure over there, and we're gonna spend a lot of money for a temporary solution until we can get
Well,
it
no,
up and
the 5-year
running.
mark comes up and he says no, then
Yeah.
we gotta figure out where we're going from there.
Well, we can't wait for
We can't wait
Yeah.
5 years, but.
Well, no, he realizes though he is solely on the hook for the cost in,
Of both
let's say
stations.
in 5 years, to upgrade them to accommodate his additional
it. So
capacity.
you think he can afford to build his buildings? Think he can afford the buildings plus this now?
No, he's not gonna.
It's a shame, but
Does he have people in D&E yet? Is that occupied?
Well, that's another. They don't have certificates of occupancy, but there's been a dozen to a dozen and a half passenger vehicles parked in front of them every night with some lights on inside.
So that's part of our meeting tomorrow.
I mean, probably not a smart thing to do when the zoning officer and borough engineer's office is directly across the street from you.
Okay. Item F, Woodland Road Sewer.
Pay up.
Yeah.
There's a change order number 2
Oh, I missed that, sorry.
and a payment application number 2. We need a motion to approve recommending to council change order number 2 in the amount of $4,817.60. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Payment application, which is the final from Wexcon Inc. has been received in the amount of $23,734.77. Motion needs approved or recommend the council approving pay application number 2. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Okay, also number 9, streets, street improvements, and change order, can you explain that?
That, the negative,
Yeah,
so when we have these contracts, we always do a final adjusting, we bid all the projects on unit quantities, and then we actually pay them for the quantity of work performed. Sometimes it's up or down in different categories, so, we do rectifying at the end to zero out all those line items. And this year, this one, we had 56,209.91 less of unit quantities than was estimated.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a shame Steve isn't here, he'd be very happy about
Yeah,
that.
So we like the negative rectifying change orders.
right. So we need a motion recommending council change order number 2, to reduce the overall bid price for road construction 2024 by $56,209.91. I'll gladly make that motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Just to
Opposed?
clarify, it's 206.
206, yeah,
Yeah.
the agenda says 209.
Yeah, the Genesis 209.
So the actual change order says $56,206.91.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But, I'll correct the motion, whoever seconded it, are you okay with that correction?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's payment application, file number 5, construction masters for the street improvements in 2024, the amount of $75,722.67. Need a motion to recommend the council that be paid.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, ayes have it. B, 2025 street improvements.
This was the list, I understand from the budget meeting, Cambridge Avenue, got deleted. Actually, before that meeting, Jim and I went out and looked at it, and the Cambridge Avenue is kind of strange in that there's a 20-foot wide concrete road underneath the blacktop. And most of Cambridge Avenue from Laura's Lane to Logan, that concrete portion, other than some, what do you call it, transverse cracking, is not in bad shape. It's the shoulders that are bad. So we were gonna bring that price down by really just trying to do some shoulder work as opposed to total work. But it got axed, and that's fine. Well, it'll be on next year's list in a lesser format than the 844,000. So for now, next year is Berkshire Boulevard from Walmart to Ridgewood Road, Cherry Drive, Old Mill Road from Old Mill to Far, and that will come out of the water fund as opposed to the general fund. And then there's 3 roads there for microsurfacing, which is just a slurry that's basically put on to streets that might be 5 to 10 years old that have some cracks, and it just postpones heavier work because you're sealing up all the cracks. It extends the life of the road. It's a good maintenance technique.
Jim, I asked at the last finance budget meeting, about the streets that get mixed each year, and if they are or not put on the following year. Like last year, we got rid of, drawing a blank, what's the dead end road over there that's got the weeds growing up?
Buckingham.
Yeah.
Buckingham, thank you, I think it'd be.
Yeah.
Like, and why Buckingham, I know people in
It's still on the
Buckingham don't
5-year
really-
plan, but because of the feedback I got last year, I said, I'll just wait another year.
Okay. But in general, do they try and get put
Oh,
back on
yes,
pretty
yeah.
quickly?
But once they're on the 5-year plan, they don't come off until they're done.
Okay.
And every year we add to the back end of the 5-year.
Right.
The new bad streets.
Yeah, I know Buckingham doesn't want their street done, cause it's gonna be a real pain for
Oh, they
them.
don't want it done?
Well, it's a cul-de-sac, so
Right.
if that street gets done, they're all
It's-
parking on whatever what's there, down.
A couple weeks of pain for long-term gain.
You make that up.
Is that
Yeah, I just wanted to double
Curve.
check.
Somebody told me that.
Is that curve in there?
That's rolled curve.
Pretty catchy.
Have you ever-
Oh, no, I think most of that's all right.
Oh,
I don't think there's a lot.
It really should only be 2 days, their inconvenience. The day they mill it, and then the day they put the wearing course down.
Okay,
Well,
So it's,
alright.
if they're not agitated to get it done.
right.
Yeah, they're not pushing. Okay, thank you.
Buckingham, good
Okay,
as-
so
number
a
five.
motion is needed to approve what would be an amended list of streets for the 2025 project and authorize McCarthy Engineering to design, permit, and bid the project consisting of a list of streets. So it would be the streets that you had on there except for Cambridge.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Ayes have it.
That's it for me.
Got some work to do next year, Jim. Still in business.
Those are some big deals.
Yeah, both of them. C, PennDOT stadium improvements. I guess this is just an update.
Well,
You wanna teach that?
There's some new stuff in here.
so basically, I'll try and be brief. I sent an email out to PennDOT, to Don Lurch, who's our liaison for State Hill Road, back in September, saying, we haven't heard anything since our utility relocation meeting a year and a half ago. We've been working with Western Berks on the meter pit relocation. And coincidentally, 2 weeks before we had a meeting, and 2 weeks before the meeting, PennDOT has approved State Hill Road Phase 1 to go to final design. So that's basically everything from Wellington down to the interchange. So they told us on that call that they would be reimbursing the borough for 50% for some items we have to relocate, 75 for other items we have to relocate. We have to sit down with them and basically highlight a plan of what will be 50, what will be 75. The thing that they said was by March of 25, we need to have all the design done and completed, permitted and incorporated into, there's items we have to, they want us to actually, so a year basically. And PennDOT doesn't move fast with anything, so that's like, you know, PennDOT year is like a month to us. They want, in the perfect world, they want us to move all of our utilities ahead of time. There's some things we can't do, like the sewer by the interchange because of detouring. They're gonna move that ramp 3 times. We would have to move the ramp 3 times, so they're gonna build that. We have to build the rest. So we basically, by like May of 25, have to have our work out the bid to a contractor to do the work. I'm sorry, 26.
Oh,
Not
okay.
25. I'm
No,
sorry.
design.
I'm saying 25, and I was
Design.
like, that's in like
Well,
5
design-
months.
Design is-
Talking about-
Design has to be done in 25. The relocation work has to be done in 26. But at the meeting, they funded the design, they funded the right-of-way acquisition. We don't have what they call our utility letter yet, which says, hey, Wyomissing, we need you to move these utilities and start designing permitting, and we're gonna reimburse you, and here's the agreement. And the reason why is, for some reason, PennDOT hasn't funded the utility relocations yet. So we're supposed to do this work, but we don't have the agreement. It's really a utility relocation funding letter that they sent. So hopefully we'll get that soon. I have a call into them. I have to call them about something else, Jim, and I saw in the field today with the storm sewer pipe, and I'm going to bring that up where they at. But we had to put in the budget now to do this design and permitting and bidding for 25. It really wasn't on any of our radar. I just sort of called because I hadn't heard anything from them in a year.
Do they reimburse design and permitting also?
Yes, but at the same percentage. 50% for anything in their right of way that's staying in their right of way, and 75% for anything that's currently in their right of way that we move out of their right of way, like the meter pit. The current meter pit would be in the roundabout, and we're moving that. But we need to acquire right of way from the mall. They also pay for the legal and the acquisition of right of way as well, but I believe it's still at the same percentage.
This phase 1 is the one with has the 5.
Roundabouts? I think they said 3,
roundabouts.
with the latest design.
It's Woodland, Greenwood Mall, and
That's actually it.
220.
They took
They
the,
took the other one out.
they took the one at Berkshire and Vista out. So this is the phase that starts at
Well,
Cheltenham.
yeah,
Yeah,
Cheltenham.
Cheltenham and goes to Greenwood.
Right, that one, yeah, they had a street light there, but I still thought there were 3.
Too, cause
It
this
took
one
one out.
stops at the highway, so Granite Point would be the next one.
Yeah.
And then Penn Ave is where the project would eventually
What
culminate.
about 222? That's not getting the circle?
No.
No, that's getting redesigned ramps, but not a circle.
This one now only has 2.
Well, how are you gonna get onto that, so how are you gonna get onto that ramp?
You'll be out of the roundabout by the time you get to the
So
ramp.
they got lights?
No way.
Yeah, there'd have to be a light there if you wanted to make a
No,
left.
so you're further down, that's phase 2.
That's not in this phase.
I thought you meant the ramps to get up on.
If you're
So
coming south
I'm
on,
talking about the other ramp over across from the mall.
that's gonna be after the Greenwood Mall roundabout, and you'll still be able to get up there because they're moving the ramps.
that's where phase 1 ends, at that ramp relocation. If you're going south on State Hill and then getting on to go
The,
south on 222.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
222
There's not a
crosses
light there
over
now.
State Hill Road, that's the end
You-
of phase 1.
So again, you guys are down towards Granite Point.
No.
No, no, I'm at-
Granite Point.
So right now, you go through the light at Greenwood Mall, and Boss Cobbs would be on your, say, left, and then you get on the ramp and go up to the highway.
Yeah, but what if you're coming from this
There's a ramp
side?
that comes down and there's a light there that you can make a left on the State Hill.
Oh, meaning that one,
Yeah, That's
that-
all part of one,
I totally
Yeah, or
forgot
if you're
about that one,
coming
actually.
down towards the mall, you've gotta make a left
yeah, to get
to
up
get
on the
onto
highway.
222
That I believe is still part of
south.
phase 2, because this one only shows 2 roundabouts, and it's Greenwood and Woodland.
Yeah, it is part of phase 2.
I also would like to just state for the record that if the roundabouts on that side of the tracks are gonna be concrete pads, like we've discussed, which is fine with some stamping around them, if a roundabout ends up at State Hill and Penn Ave, that needs to look just the same. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanna make sure
Make it as.
both sides of the
as
track
convenient
are
as
as that's all I'm asking
Paint it
for.
white.
It's a little far, Fred.
Oh my God, I did talk to Alan Piper, who is the godfather of highways. He told me that he believes that the old Borough Hall, which is now a Tolman, and the house across the street are validly historic buildings, and he doubts whether there would be a circle put in there because of it.
They hinted to that at the utility call, that they had not gotten through the historic clearances for Penn and State Hill to be able to say what they're doing there.
So let's hope he's right. So are there any motions necessary
No.
as a result of this?
Oh,
This is
yeah, I
just
guess
not-
there is.
Yeah,
I beg your pardon?
but the
The last one.
design and permit and bidding
Oh,
of
I'm
the
sorry.
work.
I was- yeah, okay. Motion is needed to recommend to council to have McCarthy Engineering commence with the design permitting and all the bidding of the utility relocation work for State Hill Road Phase 1. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by
Well,
saying
can
aye.
can I just
Discussion.
ask a quick question?
Sure.
I mean, we're gonna start with this and start spending money doing this without an agreement in place
We don't have a choice, though.
from
No.
PennDOT, we just have,
But
okay.
they will always do it. They will
Always do 50%
At
is the
least-
minimum.
At least 50,
Okay.
And
yeah.
we
They
have
have
no,
a choice.
you have no idea, you couldn't possibly ballpark that number.
I threw a wild number out that's high for the budget.
What's
We-
in the budget for next year that will cover this is 450,000 total between water and sewer.
We think that's high.
Is there
You
any
think
kind of,
that's high?
I'd rather err on the side.
I
of
wanted to err on the high side. I'm waiting for traffic planning and design has to be involved in this too. I'm waiting for their feedback on what their involvement they think is gonna be. But that morning I happened to be talking to Steve and mentioned it, and he's like, what? Thanks for the wonderful news. We had to add something else.
No, it's already in the numbers you looked at
Right.
last week.
But the 450 is just for the design and permitting.
Correct.
Design and permitting bidding, yes.
26 would be the work.
Correct.
And Jim and I went through, met.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And part of the work we'll do, but then the sewer work in State Hill, PennDOT's contractor is gonna have to do because of the detouring of the ramp.
I wanna make sure there's no rule that, expenses that are incurred would not be disqualified because we incurred them before we got the utility relocation funding. we-
They said on the call it doesn't, but,
Okay.
trust me, we're not gonna jump in this till we see that letter, but I think we just wanted to have all this in place. I don't plan on really doing anything except provide them like the info we did today, are gonna do from today from the storm sewer pit, and give them the latest meter update that we have with Western Berks and us where that's moving to. But I wanna see the letter as much, I don't want them to put some caveat in there and then the expense reimbursement get disallowed.
But if council approves it, then you can have on.
Right, then we can, once we have the letter, we can start right away, cause otherwise it'd be like a month and a half, 2 months, and
Yeah.
we don't have that time next year to get through the PennDOT steps.
Okay.
50/50 sidewalk project, Jim, bad name, bad name.
Waiting for the contractor, I emailed him again today when the start date is, but,
It's soon gonna run up against freeze,
possibly.
if there is a freeze anymore. Dauphin Avenue, again, that's kind of,
Yeah, that will be on next year's, budget. I think we've kind of agreed on, how we're gonna handle the decent amount of curb work out there. I'm gonna say that one, we could almost take off the agenda and bring it back at some point.
I'll let Steve decide that, Steve and Michelle. It's on there for a reminder, so we can designate it as such. Number 10, water, 2024 water main replacement project, water to
Algire.
Algire, oh, that's interesting. Enterprises LLC for a bid price of $387,450. Payment application number 1 from Algire has been received in the amount of $14,850. We need a motion to recommend the council pay application number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. That water main replacement is occurring up in Birdland, and,
Correct, as we speak, yeah.
yeah,
There's a big detour, and I haven't heard any complaints or issues. If you,
yeah.
I'll complain about it.
He's not asking for complaint.
crime will help you, praying will do you no good.
I'll say, other than the signage, there was like no notice, and so for the last 3 days of, well, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week, my kids couldn't get the bus to go to school, because the bus, well, the first thing that happened, the bus didn't even know, and the bus didn't know where to go, and they completely missed my kid's stop. So I was driving
We
to school.
communicated this with the school 2
What?
weeks before it started,
Okay, school didn't communicate to us, so
Yeah.
I guess take it up with the school.
and we had those signs up 3 weeks in advance that this road's gonna be closed, so. It's the first complaint.
Yeah, it was just a little vague as to what parts were gonna be closed, so. Do you know when it's gonna be done?
It'll be another, at least 3 weeks yet.
Okay, with random closings of different
They're
parts.
scheduled, they're 4/10s, Monday through Thursday. So it should generally, it's open obviously over the weekends, and
Right.
it'll be open Fridays if there's not a rain date during the week.
Okay.
All right. Item 11, Cambridge Avenue Culvert, pedestrian bridge, any update in that?
We have the pay app for payment of the retainage for phase 1, the Ped Bridge. They should be, we should be having a meeting in the middle of November to get with them, like another construction pre-kickoff meeting for the culvert.
Will that be completed by March 15th?
100% the stream work will be done by March 15th.
So we need.
They think they'll be in and out of the stream part in a week.
Payment application 6 is what you're referring to?
Yes,
From Construction Master Services LLC, in the amount of $14,154.86. Motion is needed to recommend to council payment of that payment application number 6. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, ayes have it. Number 12.
I
Any
just,
update, Michelle, on administration, police department's needs study?
so regarding the study and decisions, not specifically, I did wanna share pictures that Greg and Building and Grounds took of the HVAC pipes when the walls were open the other week. So this was brought up at last week's special budget meeting. This is what the HVAC pipes look like in Borough Hall. So at some point, these are going to fail. And Greg, you think the repair is 300 to 400,000?
Yeah, about 300.
You've got to get out of here.
So that's really just for informational purposes.
That's what we see, what is it we don't see?
Well, on that topic, for the administration of police department buildings, we're trying to get funding.
We have multiple grant applications in.
And when do we know sort of what the status of them may be?
We don't, because everything in Harrisburg is on hold until at least the election.
I didn't know there was an election.
Now we're reminded him to vote.
So can we make an assumption after the election?
We should hear something, and from what I'm hearing, they're short funding and they pulled a lot of money out of RACB. So, our grant writer, well actually more so our lobbyist, is working on setting up a meeting. I've had the individual conversation with Senator Schwank. Representative Cepeda Freites has come here and actually toured Borough Hall and the police department. She's been a fantastic support. So Kathy Bruder, our lobbyist, is working on setting up a meeting in Harrisburg that it'll be the representative, her staff, Senator Schwank, her staff, and then some key party leaders to talk about different pots of funding that are out there. Kathy's point is you're a municipal building and a police department, you should not be begging for money, which I fully agree with, but it's hopefully will punt the conversation to someone's ears that wants to listen.
We need a new building, we can't keep sinking money into this.
Yeah. And I was working.
Yep. Thank you.
Item 13, Public Works Garage, known as the BAB project. How we doing there? I see a lot of motions there, but everything going well?
We are in the new building, as far as the guys go, as far as mechanics and equipment, all got moved over. The contractor's currently working on the old existing building, doing some retrofitting in there.
What will that be used for?
That's more office space. I would imagine, I think there was talk of possibly having a council meeting over there at some point when it's new, and I'd say maybe December,
We were talking about having an infrastructure meeting.
or an infrastructure meeting.
Yeah, that would be cool.
No, but, it's great. We needed it, and, it's great.
Okay, we have some motions to make. Bear with
Some.
me here, there's like 10.
Yep.
Payment application number 11 from Bolton Construction, the amount of $204,164 and 1 penny. I'll make the motion to recommend to council to pay that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, ayes have it. Motion's needed to approve payment to payment, application number 5 from Garden Spot Electric Inc., the amount of $5,182.32. Need a motion to recommend to council payment number 5.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. We have another payment application number 5 from Accelerated Fire Protection Inc., the amount of $3,933. Need a motion to recommend to council to pay that application. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Payment application number 5 from A.H. Moyer Inc., HVAC, has been received the amount of $13,792.50. Motions need to recommend to council for that payment application. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Payment application number 6 from A.H. Moyer Inc. for plumbing. It's been received the amount of $28,282.50. $0.52. Motion is needed to discuss, to recommend payment to council for that payment application number 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, ayes have it. And that ribbon cutting that's on the agenda, we can deal with that at some later time. Stone House project. Looks like it's making tremendous progress going by there.
I think it's gonna end up looking a lot better than people had fears.
Well, I have to wait till the landscaping gets
I know,
around a lot.
It
Yeah,
looks pretty good right now, but once the landscaping goes in, I think it'll be fine.
yeah.
This still beautiful, this still is not too much.
That's just true.
Being turned on.
It's, the payment application number 3 from Construction Master Services LLC received the amount of $96,520.82. Is there a motion to recommend the council that payment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Ayes have it. Parkland study, anything new?
No, I mean, I guess it's up to the committee. This was kept on the agenda because they wanted to be updated as the study moved forward. I mean, at this point, the study's finished, we got the final report, it's being discussed at the Park and Shade Tree Commission meeting, so you could.
Yeah, we're trying to get a little bit of funding in the budget meetings to see what we can get to do with these small things in parks, but a lot needs to be done.
Yes, and money is short.
Yes.
Yeah, understood.
So ideally, we're looking for some educational signage and some control of the invasives, starting there, because they're really out of control.
What do you wanna do with this staying on the agenda?
Personally, I would keep it on and just have it as note for notice only or whatever,
Yeah.
just so that we're all reminded of it. The agenda is long, I do agree with the public comment made, but it's necessary, unfortunately. Lead rule update, anything new, Jim?
Yeah, well, we hit a milestone, our inventory was completed and sent into the DEP last week, a day before the deadline. We have 640 unknown connections, out of a total of 2,400. And from what I gather from talking to other people, our percentage isn't too bad. We have some good historic documents and things. The ones that are unknown are mostly in Berkshire Heights, Penn Avenue, and the older part of town here, just because when you get back into the 30s and 40s, there's not a lot of records to go by. So those 640 addresses will get letters sent out in the next few weeks saying, hey, we don't know what you're, not saying it's lead, we don't know what it is, but we have to treat it like lead. What goes on from there, I am not clear on yet. I will have to mine some information on what is our responsibilities. I know over time of these 640, we can prove or disprove what they're made of by digging holes or some other technologies. So we will be focusing on that, I'm sure, for the next few years, trying to get those 640 down to zero. I suspect very few, if any, are lead.
Could that be televised?
No, but we're going up Friday. The engineer who was helping us with this NTEC, up in Warwicksburg, they're doing a demonstration of this machine that somehow you clamp it onto the pipe in the basement, and somehow, I don't know exactly how, I'll find out more Friday, through voodoo can,
That's what I just said.
can dictate what they think the pipe is made of, and the DEP will accept this as a confirmation.
How does it detect radio waves?
Well, I'm gonna assume it's something like this, they already have a correlator. If you have a water main break and you can't find it, it doesn't surface, you don't know where it's at, you can get on the pipe at X, get on the pipe at Y, and this machine, because you type in whether it's cast iron pipe, ductile iron pipe, and it knows how fast the sound moves through that type of pipe, what diameter of pipe it is, and it can say, oh, it's in this window here. And I'm assuming it's something similar to that, something electronic.
Right.
How fast electrons move through lead or galvanized or copper.
Sleeping at Voodoo. I like Voodoo.
Interesting.
And who pays for that?
We don't, well, we
Unfunded
will ultimately.
Another unfunded mandate, like
Unfunded mandate.
MS4.
Yeah.
Couldn't you make the residents pay for it?
Technically, you could argue they already are through their taxes.
Good luck with that, Lee.
I'm just saying.
Well, then you come to phase 2, if they're lead, you have 10 years to replace them.
Oh my God. Take the lead on lead, my child. All right, 17 split rail fence, that's the, Ronnie's thing, I'll hold off on that. Although I have no problem with it being reinstalled despite, Flora and Fauna's, whatever her name is, Teeter. 18 median island on Wyomissing Boulevard, another Ron favorite. Any update on that with the Girl Scouts?
No, they were supposed to meet in September. I've not heard from them. They don't know how to get a hold of me.
But perhaps we can reach out to them. Okay. 19 Berkshire Heights Playground.
This was supposed to have been completed in 2024. Grant requires that the playground equipment be bid. We can't purchase it off of CoStarz, so that added a timing delay that this is now not going to happen until 2025. But that said, a motion is needed to approve McCarthy's office designing, permitting, and putting the project out to bid.
Approximate cost, Jim?
It's $350,000.
No, for his
Oh.
work. You have any idea?
I think it was in the 350.
Yeah, it was within the
Oh,
350.
Oh, was in
was
All of which 80,000 is being reimbursed by a grant.
All right, need a motion, I'll make that motion to authorize McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None?
2027.
All right. Lawn cutting contract extension.
Greg, well, Jim.
We have a contract with Smitty's Landscaping. Part of that contract said we could extend the contract an additional 2 years if the contractor and the borough would agree to any cost increase. And I'll let Greg take it from there.
We need to talk about the cost increase.
There is none.
There you
There's
go.
no cost increase, I saw that, but what is it that Smitty's does that you guys don't do?
They do all the malls, they do the playgrounds, Stonehouse, Borough Hall, library,
And they've been great to work with.
yeah.
You've been very good.
And it does look good, I mean, it's like, I can't complain about any quality.
That comment always comes up, why don't you guys do it in-house with summer help or whatnot? And this is far more efficient. And you have to get more trucks, more supervision, more mowers, more maintenance.
Employees, yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. Completely understand.
Fine contribution.
Okay, so we need a motion to recommend to council to exercise provision, the current mowing contract with Smitty's Lawn and Landscaping LLC to permit the borough to extend the term of the contract for 2 additional years to expire at the end of 26 with rates to remain the same as the current contract. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, we come to the last item, leaf waste and composting of leaf waste as opposed to having it removed. Is there, who wants to speak to this?
Well, I could start a little bit, when I saw this on the agenda, I tried to get some things together. We spend about $30,000 a year on leaf removal, wood chips from the tree department, other wood products. We have a contract
through the Berks County Cooperative Purchasing Contract. Other municipalities and us use this Hopewell Trucking, who was the low bidder for hauling this kind of material. Years ago, this was a long time ago, we had a similar discussion, and Spring Township and Wyomissing, and I don't know if there was a third municipality, went up to Lehigh County, had a countywide composting site. And we went up to look at it, it was impressive. Had concrete pads, windrows of material, a big machine that would crawl over top of the windrows, turn the compost. It was really impressive. And now, from what I understand and looking for their website, it doesn't exist anymore. And I remember comments at the time up there, they had a problem, they would make this material, but nobody wanted it. So they were expending all this money to compost, which makes sense, but they couldn't sell or dispose of the product. Here, I would say if we were to look at anything like this, again, it should be a county type thing, because we would need extra equipment, extra people. We'd have to find a location for it. The site would have to be permitted because of runoff. It's a hurdle. As much as it makes sense to compost, because we generate a lot of organic waste, a lot. But
Didn't Dave Boucher at one point in some meeting over the years say they used to take leaves over there, like near the railroad tracks by the medical school?
Mm-hmm.
So what's over there now?
It's behind our garage, and it's full.
Gotcha. Doesn't it compost itself over time?
Over time, it breaks down. We've emptied that site behind the garage already years ago, and I think it was Ridgewood Soils said they would take it, but they had to come and they did an analysis on it. And there were some road salts and heavy metals in it and stuff, but it wasn't bad. But they took some of it, but it had to be trucked. They said, we'll take it, but we're not trucking it. We need to pay to truck it to them. It has so little value. All of the cost is in trucking. But for somebody to say, yeah, I'll buy those wood chips or that leaf compost from you.
So Jim, you're saying that to do it on a borough level would be ridiculous?
We'd be spending more than $30,000 a year.
To do it anywhere in the parklands, you're dealing with runoff and sediment, and it's gonna be really difficult.
It does sound like a logical thing, but.
You gotta write an article
We're
about
gonna,
leaving your leaves,
Spring and study.
mowing
Good
your
for it.
leaves, letting them stay in the ground so we're not pushing them into the street.
What's that?
What does Spring and West Reading do?
Spring Township takes advantage of that same contract with Hopewell Trucking. I think they have a yard waste site over there, and Hopewell Trucking comes in with a grinder, grinds that material up, and then hauls it away. We don't have that. We pick it up curbside. Do you know what West Reading does? I don't know what they do with theirs.
I think they haul theirs to Ridgewood.
They don't have near the quantity that we do, but.
Meeting with Dean and John on Wednesday, I can ask Dean from his time.
Well, there's a motion here to possibly approve, table, or deny. I think what we should do is just either table or deny it, since it doesn't appear to be feasible. So I'm gonna make a motion to deny, recommending council to deny further evaluation. This is a waste of time and money. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. And that is adjournment. Adjournment by acclamation at 1:05. Thank you all for attending.